This is Thor, and we're gonna rock the universe. And you're listening to Cleopatra Records, Pirate Radio.
Hello, and welcome to this very special edition of Pirate Radio Cleopatra. I'm Dave Thompson, and my guest today is Thor, the mighty Thor, the Metal Avenger, the rock god. And we're going to be discussing his new album, very appropriately titled Rock the Universe, and comprising songs that he played, as he will be telling you shortly, in the earliest years of his career, when a lot of Canadian clubs demanded bands play covers. So that's what they did. But what a show it must have been. So here's Thor to set things off by telling you how the album came together.
Yes, I've listened to, other bands doing cover tunes. I mean, the Beatles, when they first came out, they did quite a few cover tunes.
Yep.
And then they incorporated more and more as the albums went on, more and more of their originals. And that's how our life was back in the day. I mean, our first big concert that I did going back to 1974, they were all cover songs. They were Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix, Jerry Lee Lewis, the cover songs are the inspiration, the building blocks to keep moving forward.
So this could have been your first album.
It could have been my first album. Absolutely. That's well said. This could have been the one that we would have done back in 76 and went on from there. Could have been the one before Keep the Dogs Away. I just got together. Actually, I had a meeting with Frank Soda. We said, hey, what are our favorites that we did back in when we were on tour in 76? And of course it was Action, and which was a big song at the time too for the Suite. Heart Full of Soul. I loved the Yardbirds, and that was a song that was really fun to play and had a real feel to it. Deep Purple, we loved Deep Purple, and so Highway Star was another one, and all those songs were fun for us to play, and the crowd got into it, and they were crowd pleasers. We would incorporate our own songs. In those days, the promoters, especially in Canada, if you played at a club, they'd want you to play some cover songs. So we would have to do some cover songs, but then, we'd slip in some of our originals as well. The song Action got a lot of airplay. And of course, Ballroom Blitz and all that. In the 70s, they were quite big and being played a lot on the radio. And Action actually became like a theme song for us. We'd open all our shows with Action, and everybody got into it. And it was like we always wanted to put a single out of Action back in the 70s, and never got the chance to. So we're very excited that Cleopatra allowed us to get a single out. That's what's great about Cleopatra. They make your dreams come true. They give you creative ability to, hey, what could we do this as a single, and say, hey, let's go for it. And so it was real fun to have actually do the single again, because so many things happened with that song Action, like the backing band I had were Frank Soda and the Imps, and they were going to play the Merv Griffin show live from Caesar's Palace in 76, and Merv Griffin says they were too heavy for prime time. I couldn't bring them out, so I had to use the Mort Lindsay Orchestra to play Action, and of course they were not as heavy as the Imps, but It was not really heavy rock, but I got through it anyway, and it's still kind of a legendary video.
Everybody wants, everybody needs, everybody wants, everybody needs. Everybody wants a piece of the action. Everybody needs a main attraction. I got what everybody needs. Satisfaction guaranteed. Everybody wants a piece of the action. Action. Action.
There are probably several unexpected songs on the album, as you'll hear as we talk our way through it, or as you'll know if you've already got Rock the Universe. But the one that really made me look twice was a James Taylor cover. Thor covering James Taylor. Wow.
Well, actually, I kind of call it the Elvis cover because Elvis did it live, Aloha from Hawaii. And we tried to do it that style. Because Elvis, of course, was very big in 76. And he was on tour at that time. And when I went to play Las Vegas, he was at the International, not far away, also playing. He was still alive at the time when I was playing the Aladdin Hotel.
That must have been amazing. Okay, make me jealous. Did you actually see Elvis?
No, I was trying to be him, I think. Yeah, you know, I would do, I'd wear Elvis clothing on stage for all, you know. I was playing the heroes of America. It was the bicentennial. So I would play Paul Revere, Superman, Elvis Presley. So I'd get into different costume changes at that time. And there were enough Elvis impersonators up and down the strip that you could get the feel of Elvis anyway.
Well, I'm a napalm bomb, baby, guaranteed to blow your mind. Yes, I'm a napalm bomb, baby, guaranteed to blow your mind. Now, can't have your love now. There won't be nothing left behind. 'Cause I'm a steamroller, baby. I'm gonna roll over you. That's right. I'm a steamroller, baby. I'm gonna roll over you. I'm gonna inject your soul with some sweet rock and roll and fill you full of rhythm and blues.
Action was the first single from the album. Your choice for the second, I thought, was quite surprising. Mama Let Him Play by a band called Doucette, who I believe are fairly obscure in, at least outside of Canada. So tell us about that one, please.
Yeah, it's almost like it's an original for us. It's by an artist called Jerry Doucette, and he had a band called Doucette. And they became quite big in Canada, never quite broke the U.S. market or the British market. And in Canada, though, when we were touring, we'd hear that song being played all over the radio. You know, we're driving and we're listening to the radio on tour, and we hear this song, Mama Let Him Play, and we loved it. Said, hey, we got to do that song. And so are driving through the prairies. We're, trying to get it ready, singing in the tour bus, trying to get it ready for the next city. And it became a favorite. People would love it, and they'd get up and start dancing, and it was a great party song.
Don't get in his way, you'll only bring him down. Mama, won't you let him play some rock and roll. Let him play some rock and roll. Let him play some rock and roll. Let him play some rock and roll.
And we remain in Canada for this next track, Montrose Rock the Nation, which I believe you said was almost the album's title before you branched out a little further.
Yes, Rock the Nation. We were originally going to call the album Rock the Nation, but we wanted to go bigger, so with Rock the Universe, since we got back in the USSR in there, and might as well make it rock the universe, So, but Montrose, Sammy Hagar was amazing, and Montrose was a very big inspiration for Van Halen and many other heavy rock acts at the time, including us.
This is John Michael Thor from Thor, and you're listening to Cleopatra Records Pirate Radio.
It's strange, Montrose was so big and so well loved in the 70s. You rarely hear their name anymore, do you?
Yeah. So, but the kids are, new kids come up and they don't always, certain bands become obscure to them. Like Montrose. Montrose is a great band, but, they'll remember more the Sammy Hagar with Van Halen than they will Sammy Hagar with Montrose.
Got it in me, got it in me. Ain't gonna quit till it all comes out. It's been a long education, but my homework is done. I'm about to rock the nation. I just wanna have fun. Come on. Across the nation.
All of the other bands who you chose to cover on the album get one song, and one song only. Deep Purple get two. Would I be right in thinking that you just couldn't decide between Highway Star and Black Knight?
That's right. Well, we love both those songs, and why not do a medley, and meld them together.
Yes.
The riffs are amazing. Richie Blackmore is, one of the greatest guitarists ever. Amazing guitarist. So, but we used to do those in the club and on the club tour back in the 70s, and we just that was well put. That we couldn't decide. Might as well put them both together.
Black
two of my favourite songs on the album, actually two of my favourite songs full stop. Heart Full of Soul by the Yardbirds and I'm Not Like Everybody Else, which at the time was a fairly obscure B-side, I think 1965-66. You take on both and you do such amazing jobs. Any chance of seeing them as singles?
In fact, there's two videos we're working on right now, which is one is Heart Full of Soul.
Oh, good.
And I'm Not Like Everybody Else. I'm Not Like Everybody Else is becoming sort of an epic video because it takes so much prosthetics and makeup and everything, so it's taken a bit longer. So anyhow, we're doing both videos right now, and we're kind of ignited. Jim McCarthy, said that thought we were focused on that. We had a good focus or a hold on that song in a heavy metal way. When you told me that, one of the founders of the Yardbirds, And
I know that if I had you back again, oh, I would never make you sad. I got a heart full of soul. She's been gone such a long time, longer than I can bear. But if she says she wants me, tell her that I'll be there. And if she says to you she don't love me, just give her my message, tell her of my plea. And I know that if she had me back again, oh, I would never make her sad. I got a heart full of soul.
When we spoke a few weeks ago, you said that the Kinks song I'm Not Like Everybody Else was something of a theme song for you. It certainly seems autobiographical in many ways. Would you like to tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I've never really felt like everybody else, I think I was into superheroes a lot more than other kids in my school. So much so that I would, get into Superman. Of course, there's a Superman movie out right now, but I was into Superman very heavily and would wear a Superman costume underneath my clothes about grade 4, and then change into Superman at recess. And there was one time where I couldn't get my clothes back on in time. And another time, of course, I got a lot of trouble for this because I would draw the Superman insignia all over my school books, and the teacher would give me a letter to bring to my parents. You got to, look into this. This is not normal. And of course, the one time that was the coup de grace to sort of end this whole thing with Superman was when I jumped off the first story in my Superman costume at school and got a concussion. And I really got in a lot of trouble for that, right?
It's funny to think you got into trouble at school, but now you'd probably get into trouble if you didn't come out in costume. There can't be many of us who can look back at the misdeeds of our childhood and still not only still be undertaking them, but actually making a living from doing so. I think a lot of people are very jealous.
Yeah, when I go on stage, I'm wearing a Superman costume, really. I got the cape and the whole bit, and it's Thor, but I changed it up to my own personality. It's not like I'm being Thor, the identical Thor from mythology, or it's Thor the Rock Warrior, Thor the Metal Avenger. In early 1976, late 75, 76, I did audition for Superman. Went to New York and auditioned for Superman with my manager at the time. We flew over there. We were trying to get in. There was so many people trying to become Superman, and I still have some promo shots of me wearing the Superman costume, but of course Christopher Reeve became Superman. Yeah. But they were looking at a lot of celebrities at the time that were very big, like Robert Redford, Paul Newman, Charles Bronson.
Okay, another of the great legends of the 60s, Eric Burdon, original singer with the Animals and later the New Animals and so on and so forth. Amazing career, absolutely fabulous voice. And you choose Sky Pilot, which not one of his better known singles, but it was a hit and it's a good one. So tell us about Eric Burdon, please.
He was on a show in the 60s when I was I think it was like 69 or so. And there was a period where he went to San Francisco and, he was hanging out with War and some of these other musicians in San Francisco. Like he did that song San Francisco, which I thought was fantastic. But just before that, it was Eric Burdon and the Animals, yes, rather than just the Animals. And there was a show in Vancouver, and I was quite impressed when he did Sky Pilot on the show. They had these teen shows that would come on, sponsored by Dutch potato chips or whatever, and so I was quite impressed by that. And all that song always kept in my head. I know it was a deep cut for the Animals, but it did get some radio play in Canada, probably more than it did even in the U.S. I think it had to do with the war in Vietnam. A protest against the war in Vietnam. So that was going on in the 60s. My father, he was always worried that I could be drafted into the war, or being a young guy at the time when Vietnam was going on, that they'd come up to Canada and have a draft. The U.S. would be they would talk about stuff like that back then. So anyhow, that being said, it kind of stuck in my head, and I thought, well, it'd be really cool to do that song. I think to me, it's a great chorus.
Yes,
I love the chorus. Yeah, no, I love that period. That whole psychedelic period, like the Electric Prunes and the bands that were happening in that 67, 68 kind of period. And I think everybody was getting high. San Francisco was the place to be. Everybody was trying to come to San Francisco, and the tie-dyed shirts and that whole period, and that song kind of reminds me of all that stuff going on. And when he did Spill the Wine and things like that were probably happening just after that song.
With God you're never alone. He feels tired and lays on his bed, hopes the man find courage in the words that he said. You soldiers of God, you must understand the fate of your country is in your young hands. May God give you strength, do your job well. If it was all worth it, only time will tell. Sky, a pilot. Sky, a pilot. How high can you fly? You'll never, never, never reach the sky. You'll never, never, never reach the sky. You'll never, never, never reach the sky. Pilot. Sky pilot. Sky pilot. Sky pilot.
And we remain in that same period, the late 60s psychedelic era, for The Doors and a fabulous version of Love Me Two Times.
Yes, another one of my great heroes, The Doors. I did it pretty much how we did it on the road. And the fellow playing guitar, the guest is Al Harlow, who plays guitar and slide guitar on that. And he's from a band that's popular in Canada. They had a lot of hits in Canada called Prism. And so he came in and did that. Then I have to give kudos to the producer, Kevin Stewart Swain, produced the record and put all these people together, like the guests, that came in.
Yeah.
And he's a good pal with Al. Yeah, we stayed faithful to the song. Yeah, and I just think they're they're up there in my top 10 of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah.
There's of course the Beatles. There's always number one, and Zeppelin is in there, and the Doors for sure. Of course, the Yardbirds, yes, and the Kinks. Yeah.
Love me 2 times, I'm going away. Love me 2 times, I'm going away. This is Thor, the Metal Avenger, and you're listening to Cleopatra Records Pirate Radio.
The majority of the songs on the album, in fact all but one, are from the 60s and the first half of the 70s. But for one number alone, you step back into the 50s, and I'm Ready, which was, I believe, recorded by Muddy Waters in 1958, and isn't one of those blues songs that everybody knows, everybody plays, and were kind of de rigueur for the groups that grew up around the Stones, or at the end of the 60s, the Fleetwood Mac, Savoy Brown crowd. How did you come to choose that? And I'm very glad that you did, by the way.
Yes, well, I'm Ready, and that's another song we did all the time. When we did it on stage, we did it a little more like Tush, kind of dun 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 dun, kind of like it was a little more upbeat than we did it on the record.
Yeah.
But we kind of tried a little different style to it. There's so many. I mean, these guys are so talented. All these bands, that they have songs that were never chosen to be the A side.
Yeah.
There's the B side, and also deeper cuts too, cuts that never saw the single aspect.
I know that you feel that I ain't nowhere. Well, stop what you're doing, babe. Come over here. I'll prove to you, baby, that I ain't no square. Cause I'm ready. I'm ready as anybody can be. Now I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me. Yeah. I'm ready. Ready as anybody can be. I'm ready. Ready as anybody can be. I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me. Come on, I'm ready. I hope you're ready for me. Well, I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me.
Okay, end of the album, last track, and truly one of the best. Back in the USSR, inevitably by the Beatles. Here you go.
I remember the story where someone, when they were in America, someone came up to John Lennon and he said, "This song is very un-American." And John said, well, we're not American. You know. Oh yeah, they were influenced by Brian Wilson, even Sgt. Pepper's. You know, they were influenced by Pet Peeves, weren't they? Pet Sounds, I mean, sorry. You know, they like, you know, that Brian Wilson, like Paul McCartney loved Brian Wilson, you know, and the stuff he wrote, and they definitely tried to emulate the Beach Boys on that tune.
Leave the West behind. And Moscow girls make me sing and shout. The JoJo's always on my mind. Oh, come on! I'm back in the USSR. Don't know how lucky you are, boy. Back in the USSR. The Ukraine girls really knock me out. They leave the West behind. And Moscow girls make me sing and shout. But JoJo's always on my mind. Take me to your Smoky Mountains way down south. Take me to your daddy's farm. Let me hear you bellow like it, ring it out. Come keep your comrade warm. I'm back in the USSR. You don't know lucky you are, boy. Back in the USSR. Back in the USSR. Oh yeah. Back in the USSR.
And that's it. That's Rock the Universe, Thor's latest album. That could have been his first album. Thank you so much to John for being with us for this show. Thank you for listening. And we'll be playing a lot more Thor in the future on Pirate Radio Cleopatra. So tune in whenever you can. Lady Crow will be your guide through the latest and greatest Cleopatra releases. And Thor is always among them. Thanks very much.
Hey, that sounds great. Thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And as I say, have a great day and have fun with those videos. I can't wait to see.
Okay. Have a great one. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.